Hi guys. Everyone always says hi guys.
Hey, this is our vlog. Right.
It's so funny. If you haven't noticed, guys, I've got hair.
How did that happen?
Oh, jeez. So today, I guess there's just the two of us, and so we were talking earlier about social media recruitment, and you had a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah, I did.
Curiosities, and so we thought actually maybe we should do a video on it. So interview time, I guess.
So basically, I'm going to ask questions, assuming that I don't know anything.
Exactly.
Which is quite a fair assumption. Social media recruitment. What is that?
It's like normal recruitment and selection. The only difference is that it's the fact that now organizations use social media in that process, like they've embedded it in different areas. So for example, usually recruitment and selection is recruitment and selection. People advertise a job, you apply for the job because that's the only way they can find you. And then they look through your credentials, etc. Just the stuff in your CV. So for example, let's say I had a job advert that I was advertising and I wanted to pick someone like you. I'd do this, I'd try and do the job description and hope I find someone like that. Right?
Okay.
But with social media in the mix, I don't really need to do that because actually I can just look for you, contact you and ask you if this is something you'd be interested in. And I can find a whole bunch of people to select from using that. I can tell you vacancies are available. So LinkedIn does. People do that on LinkedIn a lot.
Okay, but so a couple of questions. If you're doing social media recruitment, do you still advertise vacancies?
Yes, you can still.
But you're doing the hunting, because normally when you advertise, you're saying, if you're interested, contact us. But you're suggesting that they go hunting.
They do both, so they can do both, that's the point.
Okay, so you can do online recruitment and social media recruitment and conventional recruitment all at the same time?
All at the same time,
cool.
Yeah. So the social media element is actually very useful for HR people because actually there are some skills you would have put in your LinkedIn and other people like you would put in their LinkedIn or whatever social platform they use, which the recruiter might not necessarily think of as a way to identify you. But when they start to find people like you online, they start to think, oh, all these people also have blogging as part of what they're doing. So then these key skills that they need to have, they can build that into the job description. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the other thing I'm thinking about is then, how do you maintain kind of transparency across the different approaches to recruitment? So if you're going to do online recruitment, traditional recruitment, recruitment consultant, social media recruitment, all of these different things, and I'm assuming that you're going to use one job description for this particular role.
Possibly.
How do you make sure that the candidates map to those criteria equally? Because, for example, if somebody submits a conventional CV, that's a very good way to tick boxes when it comes to qualifications and work experience, but maybe not for soft skills. Whereas if you are doing social media recruitment, I'm guessing that you're going to find people that show that they've got good communication skills, they can show initiative, they're entrepreneurial.
Exactly. So the reason social media recruitment is growing in popularity, in my opinion, is because people like you that are really good communicators can share content online.
I'm a good communicator.
You're a great communicator.
Okay.
Can share your content online that allows the recruiter to understand not just your skills, but like not even just your soft skills, but actually whether or not you fit in the company culture. And
do they, once they've identified a potential candidate, do they set them extra tasks? Because I remember seeing there was one company where it was for graduate recruitment, and they asked them to submit a 2-minute video. So are there more? Do you see more companies doing that?
Yes, I've seen a lot of that actually happening. So a lot of the times, our companies like to have people submit a video where they answer a series of questions. But the element of social media, if you're already a vlogger, means that they can already hear your voice, see how you interact with the camera, with people. They can read your articles, read your content, and they'll know straight away. And in things like academia, it's not really used at the moment, but it's key, isn't it? Because the way of higher education and education on the whole is moving more towards technology, to being technology based. So when you're looking for an academic, traditionally we look for things like PhDs, lots of teaching experience over years, etc., and having a specialism. But someone like you, that's not why you're here. You're here mainly because of you, because it's you. We want Jonathan Wilson. I have seen some vacancies where, because before it was like, you've got a line in your CV where it says, I have taught X, Y, and Z, and then they wanted, there's been a progression towards, let's get student feedback, averages,
testimonials, and I guess now 1 or 2 are starting to say we want some show reel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what advice would you give? Like, you know, like if you're faced with this social media recruitment individual who says we want a 2-minute video, like how do you do that? Like, do you go like, hi guys, it's my first video. Please don't judge me because judging is so last year.
Well,
what can I say? I'm really good at working. Like, no, seriously though, like, how would you approach?
Well, the thing is, you have to approach it the same way you always approach everything.
Okay.
With recruitment. So first things first, there is a company culture you have to adjust into.
Right.
So before you create that vlog, depending on how much time you've got left, I personally would suggest looking into what other kind of content is out from that company. How are the people? If they're very deadpan, you don't want to go too far from that because you're not gonna fit into the culture.
Okay.
So even if you're like, whoa, I'm Tanisha, which I can be, you don't really want to do that in that video.
So the show reel should be appropriate. So that would mean that you should look on the website and see what clothes people tend to be wearing, and if they're very good afternoon. I'm applying for the following vacancy because I have the following core competences. Then, so you should try and mirror.
No, don't fake it. So that's the thing.
I'm not saying fake it, but for example, I guess everyone has more than one personality,
yes,
right?
Exactly. So the work
personality. You can be more
personality.
serious. Okay, so think about the work personality that you want to project, that represents you, that you feel is going to be the appropriate fit for the organisation, and the show reel is supposed to elevate and amplify your application.
Yes, and obviously the reason why you look into the company is because you want to look for those cultural identifiers.
Okay.
How they dress, how they speak, the way they use their language, what kind of forms of communication.
But the funny thing is though, with a lot of organisations like this, they actually expect the new recruits to have better skills than they do, right?
Exactly
because when I've looked at certain vacancies, then senior management don't have show reel, they don't have videos, they don't necessarily say much about themselves.
No.
It seems to be a very much a new way thing.
Yes, and that's the thing. So because it's so new, it's really reliant on like the individual to continue with the same steps you would normally when you research a job, research a role, research a company culture. But also be very aware of the fact that you, in this day and age, you're being recruited for the element of modern and innovative ideas and methods that you bring to some industries. I
would say, regardless of your age, like, you're going to reach for YouTube. You want to know which accounting firm to go with, which law firm, whatever. If they have content which you can find online and it builds that emotional and human connection, you are more inclined towards that organisation. So I guess
it's a two-way thing. So this is the other side of the coin.
Okay, so top tips would be do some summer or spring cleaning on your social media profile.
Start a social media profile if you don't have one. And if you do, thanks to GDPR, you can now request things to be taken off. Okay. So make sure you do that. Actually, make anything that you don't want to be public private, but don't make everything private because, in some way, your social media profile allows you to extend your CV beyond those 2 pages. Okay. So you want to use that. So write articles, do vlogs or blogs or whatever as relevant to your industry and your sector. So there's got to be a certain element of like a natural behavior that comes from it. It has to seem natural to you so that you don't scare people off. So if you do a vlog and it's like, and you're this nervous and scared and you're approaching a company who's very new to this, but they use that in there, then they're not going to really want you because they're already scared about this, which everyone should be afraid about what you put out online. You should be. I mean, look at Roseanne the other day. Roseanne, I mean, terrible thing for her to say, but a career gone like that for a tweet. So you should be afraid. You should be very afraid. But at the same time, that's just to make sure you don't ruin your reputation because what you put on the internet does stay pretty much forever.
And so to round up.
So basically to round up, do everything as usual online. Consider the fact that your social media profile does have an influence. Clean it up if you have one. If you don't have one, start it up. And then choose a medium that you're going to communicate through, whether it's blogs, vlogs, or podcasts. Be consistent, but that does not mean every week. So if you decide it's once a year, it's once a year. But be consistent and try to gain the confidence to portray yourself as an expert in some area. Anyway, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for the questions.
No worries. Cool.
And we're going to do an article about this soon. So if you're lucky, the link is already below.
Sure.
You want to round up?
You can round up. It's your thing. It's a Monday evening. We just thought we'd start these things off and just kind of share our thoughts.
Yeah.
What else do you want to say?
I think it's been really nice chilling with you guys and talking to you.
Aww.
I do. It was quite nice. Good way to spend my Monday afternoon. I hope you feel the same.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think we
We
need to
did
book another
Skype.
one next week. Yeah, we did Skype.
I'd like to say, because you've called me the voice of reason like 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
I'll give you a link to a recommendation if you want. Voice of reason. All right, we're going to sign off. See you later.
Oh, shoes.
Oh yeah, mate.